Hey there. So today I wanted to address something that I feel is very, very important for anyone who might be wondering about the word embodiment. I know that it is used a lot in the personal development and coaching industry. I know that I use it a lot, and because recently I have been speaking a lot about the embodied equestrian, I wanted to take a few moments today and clarify what embodiment is, what it isn't, and what it personally means to me and the way that I am using it, in the context that I am using it, the context that I've experienced it, and the way that I am teaching and guiding others to experience it and deepen their practice with it. So I want to just start off with a saying, a mantra that I heard many, many years ago that came to me again earlier. And that is empowering the sacred feminine with the medicine of the horse. And that mantra, those words, came to me in divine whispers like several decades ago. I mean, I think on my old YouTube channel, I chatted about it. And when I first heard those words, I actually didn't even know what exactly it meant. Like it resonated as truth. It resonated as part of my mission and my soul's work and my message. And yet there was a part of me that actually didn't know what those words meant. And so I want to start off here, and so stick with me. I promise if you stay with me to the end, you will have a deeper understanding of the word embodiment, how to actually implement it in your life, especially as a sensitive horsewoman, a heart-led horsewoman, equine empath, or deep feeler. And so for me, after I heard those words, I've always been a seeker. One of those forever perpetual students, always seeking and learning and wanting to expand my knowledge and awareness. That saying, the more I learn, the less I know, is so true for me. And I remember diving into some research around the rich symbolism, the deeper symbolism of the horse in general, whether it was Native American, whether it was with Carl Jung. And what I found was fascinating, based on what I found related to Carl Jung specifically, was that horses represent our vital life force energy, especially the sexual and especially the masculine. And something that came through to me at that time that I discovered this, and again, this is going back quite a few moons ago, I had this kind of download or this hit or this aha moment, because horses had been such a sacred part of my medicine and healing journey, that, and I knew that for me, I had a very wounded masculine from my upbringing and childhood trauma and all the things. And so for me, there was this click that made sense, that energetically, when I was sitting on a horse's back, as me representing the feminine and the horse representing that masculine energy, I was being held, I was being supported, I was being carried, and it was providing a safe and solid structure, platform, foundation, if you will, that helped me feel all those things, helped me kind of almost heal in a way some of the layers of the wounded masculine for myself. And the act of physically, again, sitting on a horse's back with consciousness really brought in so much magic and healing on that energetic level for me, in the way that I began to bring in my mind-body connection and awareness, and all the things. Okay, so that's the first piece that I feel called to share, kind of as like a background, if you will, to my journey and exploration of embodiment. Okay, and so the one piece that I want to bring in here for me is that embodiment is the integration of the masculine and the feminine. And the way I see it is like a coin, like two sides of a coin. The coin is always a coin, and whether it lands on the head or the tail, it's still a coin in its wholeness, in its complete form. So you and I, regardless of gender, are whole in our completeness with both the masculine and feminine parts of ourselves, within ourselves, regardless of your gender. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And so for me, at the very basic level, it also brings in that yin yang symbol with my background in traditional Chinese medicine. If you're new to me, I was a renegade vet for over 2 decades, specializing in equine wellness and performance using acupuncture, chiropractic, herbs, and more for over 2 decades. And that yin yang symbol that chances are you've seen, that's half black and half white, it represents the masculine and the feminine, right? The darkness and the light. And so again, that's part of the whole. And if I bring in my Chinese medicine background, it is that whole, it is that balancing of the whole that restores harmony and health and happiness in the individual, 2-legged or 4, okay, or winged, or whatever. And so that's one piece for me. Like, embodiment means that integration of the sacred feminine and the divine masculine, that sacred union and integration. Now, if we want to take things a step further, for me, and this brings in my dark horse movement, if you will, and my sacred relationship with the rich symbolism of the dark horse on so many levels. And again, I'm not going to get into all of that here, but the essence of the dark horse being connected to the sacred feminine, okay? And so the sacred feminine is the unseen, it is the intangible, it is the invisible, it is the shadow side, it is the nighttime, right? It is the ability to really create and birth life. And we need both, right? We can't do that without the contribution of the masculine. And so when we are, and maybe you can relate to this, when we are like in our wounded masculine, when we are overdoing, okay, and overworking and hustling, right? That whole hustle culture, which is being too much in the masculine. And by the way, women, like in general, I want to say, I mean, everyone's going to be wired differently, but in general, women are not wired for that long-term hustle. Like, yes, we can do it for a period, and depending on what season and cycle in life you're in, but we are not meant to do that hustle and hunter-gatherer type of energy that the masculine is wired for and can really do in a more sustainable way, right? We're built differently. We're wired differently. And so I'm speaking, my audience, the women that I attract and know that I'm meant to serve, who are some version of myself, have had this imbalance in the masculine and feminine. And while we may be extremely empathic and sensitive and deep feelers, we've also been high achievers and very ambitious, driven women in a way, because we were overcompensating, right, for that imbalance of the masculine and the feminine, that chances are happened at a young age or with your upbringing, your lineage, etc. And so this piece of really understanding the depth of the feminine parts of ourselves, which have to do with our emotions again, and the unseen and the invisible, and the mystical and the magic that the dark horse represents at its pure essence and core, I believe is part of our journey towards wholeness, towards sovereignty, towards self-love, and freedom, emotional, physical, mental, and beyond. And so that is one really basic foundational piece for me of embodiment. Now, the next level has to do with the integration of body, mind, and spirit, the alignment, the coherence, the congruence of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and the whole thing, right? Like, and this is where, again, we bring in the medicine of the horse, where horses, we know they don't lie. Horses can sniff out and tell when we're not being congruent. They can tell if our body language and our biology is saying one thing, even though our mouth or our what we might be trying to project, like trying to be maybe confident or calm, they know the truth of who we are because they are masters of being fully embodied in body, mind, and spirit, being in alignment, being in energetic coherence in all of these areas. And so as humans, we have both the blessing and the curse, right? Because of our mind, where we can actually be disconnected in a sense, and our mind or our mouth be saying one thing and our body and our feelings be saying something completely different. And this is where learning to, first step is always awareness, learning to expand your awareness, our awareness around what our body and our emotions and our energy is saying or projecting or radiating at any given time. What is our overall vibe, right? And remembering, this is really important, remembering that we are not our thoughts, right? And that they only become things when we allow them to, by focusing on them and feeding them. And what is really tricky here is, and chances you've heard about like that 95% subconscious, right? And it's the 5% conscious mind that's always trying to, make the changes or do the things and solve the problems, right? And it is really that 95% subconscious, which is the realm of the feminine, my love, and the conscious mental mind is the masculine. So when we dive into the subconscious, when we connect with our bodies, when we start connecting with the deeper layers, for me, that is when we are becoming more deeply embodied. And it's not like a one-time thing. It's a new way of being. There are layers. And I know that for myself, as long as I've been on this journey and at 61 trips around the sun by this point, there's always more, right? There's always another layer. And I don't say that in a way to discourage or anything like that. However, there's always that new level. Hang on here. Let me blow my nose. Starting to run. So at the end of the day, for me, embodiment is learning how to literally be in your body, learning how to live in and fully land in your body. And there are different ways that we disconnect from our body. We disconnect from our body maybe by being in our heads all the time, right? And overthinking, analysis paralysis. We can disconnect from our bodies because of trauma or stress or being in survival mode, right? When you're in survival mode and hustle mode, you don't have the luxury of that downtime, of that slowing down time to actually pause and get present with your body, right? And so all of these pieces are contributing to the disconnection and the what is the word I'm looking for? Perhaps not being as fully embodied as you could be. Okay, again, there's always a new level. And as I shared in my recent training on the 4 golden pillars of next level embodiment, which I'll try to remember to drop down below, you know, I have been doing quote unquote embodiment work for at least over a decade, if not 2. And I've been very active physically with my body, except during the season where I was really sick in my late 30s, where I was dealing with chronic fatigue, anxiety, and depression, which is a whole other story. But for the majority of my life, you know, I'm teaching aerobics, avid runner, all the things, and yoga for a couple of decades. And so what I want to share here is that you can actually, while you're doing physical activities, whether you're riding your horse or going for a run or doing yoga, all of those things are a great step to getting out of your head and getting into your body. And again, there's always another level. There's always another depth. You can be doing those things and still not be fully present and still be disconnected from your body. And I have been there, done that. And actually, as a result of that, like injured myself while doing things, physical activities, because I wasn't fully present, okay? And so if you can relate to that, let me know. And so that is, again, that whole another next level of embodiment that needs to happen. And so why am I even talking about all of this? As I mentioned, I've been sharing a lot recently, if you've been in my world for a bit, about the embodied equestrian, which really is in many ways the culmination of my soul's work. And what is really funny, side note, I don't know if you're into numerology or the numbers or any of that, I've been seeing my birthday, 8/25, like a lot show up on my phone. And I kept wondering, like, it was so weird. It felt good. And it was like, oh, that's my birthday. It's my birthday. But it's just like kept, you know, kind of when you start seeing 111s and 11s and 2s and whatever a lot. For the past several months, I've been seeing 8/25, 8/25, 8/25 a lot. And so I kind of, my curiosity got the best of me. I know what those numbers themselves represent because I've studied numerology. However, I was just curious because the birthday piece kept showing up, and it actually, some of the definition included like a rebirth and also confirmation of being aligned with your soul's work or soul life path. And so that was, you know, that was kind of exciting to see that. But anyway, I digress. But what brought that on is this embodied equestrian. Really, for me, it feels like it pulls everything together that I've been teaching and sharing and experiencing and going through on my own journey, and then sharing, you know, my golden nuggets and shifts and gifts and wisdom along the way from back in the day with the Venus codes in 2016 and Venus Meets Equus, and you know, fast forward, the Medicine of the Horse Summit, Epona's Rising, and Lead Mare Magic. These have all been different expressions and offerings of my soul's work based on my hero's journey and the different things I was learning along the way. And I feel blessed, honestly, that the women I've shared all of those offerings and teachings with have actually experienced incredible results and shifts and all the things around alleviating anxiety and manifesting miracles, and including new horses and an all expense dream cruise and all the things. new love, losing weight, all the things. And what the embodied equestrian for me does really is it pulls on the foundational pieces of what I've been channeling and teaching and guiding others with for years now, officially since around 2016. So now, again, a decade, right? We're in 2026. And brings in this whole new level, this whole new depth of what I have been doing that for me has just been really magical, because it has been so much reflected in my horse, in my equine loving mirror, in terms of our relationship. And I've shared about that in other videos, so I'm not going to go down that path today. But that's been really the icing on the cake and the most magical part, and the part that's most sacred to me on my heart, and why I'm really passionate about bringing this work forward. So on that note, if you are still here, if you're resonating with what I'm sharing, if you know there's this next level of embodiment for you to step in to greater presence and power and partnership and leadership, first with yourself, right? Connecting with yourself first, and your body and your biology and your energy and your emotions, right? Which then always is going to ripple out to others, including especially your heart horse or horses. Then, in case you haven't heard, my 8-week somatic reboot or reset for the heart-led horsewoman who is ready to rise by deepening her embodiment, by stepping into that next level of embodied presence and leadership, is now open for pre-sale this week. And I'm so excited about it, and I just wanted you to know the information on that will be down below as well. So, and in that program over 8 weeks, I am going to be guiding you through like this 8-step blueprint of all of the most powerful sacred somatic practices, energetic activations and transmissions, which is part of my personal brand of magic, and so much more to help you really channel more of your light. Because when you're not fully embodied, when you're not fully grounded, some of your energy is blocked, right? And you're not fully channeling your light. And so this work is going to help you not only fully land in your body and feel grounded and really at 10x your inner sense of safety and stability and calm, confidence, and quiet power, but you will shine, like you will experience radiant health, and your light will get stronger and brighter and more powerful. And so if this again interests you, I would love to see you there. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And again, if you haven't listened to my 4 Golden Pillars video and you're new to me, or you want to go deeper in this topic, I recommend you go there. That will be down below. And until next time, ciao for now. Namaste.